Hello and welcome to John and James Live. My name's John Hastings and I am with my co-host, Mr. James CeeLo. We normally, James, you introduce yourself, but I listened to it back and it doesn't sound very good.
I can't believe you said that.
You don't come in at the right time.
Mate, I'm old. It's a
timing
timing issue.
I'm like,
Just, you need
James.
to count me in. It's like,
Yeah.
when you're ready.
3, 2, it's James CeeLo.
Mate, I think that's very unfair.
Looking good. I like the little beads there. You've gone for the little surfer meditation look.
Thinking of getting an earring as well, just to.
Yeah. Have you got your ears pierced? Your ears pierced. I've got 2 holes this side,
Mate,
1 here.
I never knew that. I'd never had my ears pierced. I nearly got them pierced on holiday in Turkey once, much to my wife's amusement, and the kids thought it was the coolest thing ever, but I bottled it.
I was a teenager, Clapham Massive, and you have your 2 cubic diamond zirconas.
Wow.
Rocking them, James.
Mate, you should have had gold teeth as well. Did you have any gold teeth?
No. Luckily,
gangster,
I didn't opt for the tattoos was a thing at the time, but I didn't opt for that.
Yeah, I got 1 tattoo. How did we get onto this conversation?
Anyway, today, guys, we're going to be talking about not even $1 million ideas, James, because that's boring.
Trillion. I can hardly get my head around it.
Not even $1 billion ideas, because that's boring.
Because that's so yesterday.
It's got to be trillion. If you're going to do it, go big.
Go big or go bigger.
We monopolize. That's what we do. We're taking out everybody with these ideas. So I'm relying on you to bring the good stuff today, James. And if you're
no
out
pressure.
there watching,
it's all of 30 minutes preparation.
Yeah, send us your ideas.
That'd be great.
We'll get going. So first of all, shall I start off, James, with my $1 billion idea?
Oh,
okay, first of all,
it's got to be trillion, surely.
Sorry, trillion dollar idea. Okay, first of all, we have everyone goes to the toilet, James.
They do.
So the total addressable market in TAM lingo consultancy words is big. Everyone's on it, aren't they?
Yeah.
In terms of the TAM. So I'm thinking everyone goes to the toilet. Diagnostics. We need diagnostic toilets. So when you go for a pee or a number 2, it gives you some type of feedback analysis. And I just think this would be a game changer. It would just be one of those things where you sell it as a preventative measure for whatever's going on with your body. It's like real time, access to data in terms of what's happening with your body, dehydration levels, and then it can be linked to your wearables. So when you go to the loo at home, I don't know how we would do it if it would work on like a public toilet or your work toilet. Maybe it could work on a work toilet, couldn't it?
The problem with that is it's going to get people's stuff mixed up, isn't it? The data is going to get. You need for an individual only to be using that toilet, unless
there's a flushing system. There's
siphoned away, or the testing done immediately. That then gets, and then it's completely cleaned for the next person coming along, so that the samples don't get mixed.
Exactly. You've got to have like a bit of a high-tech washing system thingy, majiggy, haven't you?
Yeah.
Somebody said already done. Seriously.
Wow.
It's already done. Is it a $1 trillion idea?
I can imagine that there would be smart toilets that could do that. But I don't know that they have been developed for the public, as you said. But how much would you want, actually? I mean, if you had one at home, How often would you want to get that sort of data? Would it be on a daily basis, a weekly basis? So would there need for there to be public one?
I would say, James, you want this data up to date. Because if people don't know, and I haven't told you already, James, I've got a kidney stone. I know everybody, and I did go to the hospital today, and I'm keeping this bandage on as my.
Oh, mate, you're such a soldier.
This is my This is my battle wounds from my CT scan. But what the guy said to me in the urology department, what do you think he said to me, James? Any idea?
Apart from you being devastatingly attractive.
Yeah, apart from that, he said
it's very unusual for someone from a council estate to have this size of a kidney stone.
That's exactly what he said, James.
Is that what he said? It was almost like I was in the room.
What he did say is that if people were hydrated, then this whole department would shut down. As simple as that. So it's just measuring your hydration, check. People know when their pee's not quite right. And it is a very simple thing, but the urology department is chock-a-block. And again, it's the same with most things, isn't it? With exercise, with eating, with hydration. LinkedIn user said, drink more water. You're 100% right. The dehydration.
But you had no idea until you had symptoms.
No, it's just a small habit with high oxalate diet, with high broccoli, dark chocolate, too much
high
coffee,
protein. Well, you were the protein boy, weren't you? That kind of generation coming through, all about protein powders.
Just getting out the habit of drinking enough water.
Yeah.
So I really needed some type of warning sign, because there was no, it was a small habit over a long period of time where I could have done with some intervention to say something's not good here. You don't know until you get sort of.
So maybe there should be a video channel around it instead of YouTube. It's YouBend. I just thought of that, by the way.
YouBend, yeah, that's a interesting one.
Is that? Is that? I think we'll just end it there, mate.
It's the LinkedIn user. I don't know who this is, but I'm interested.
Rob, I think Rob Chilton. Is that right? Rob, is that you? It came up on my.
Is it Rob? Rob, send us the link for this smart toilet. I know it. Obviously, I don't know about it yet. There is some type of thing, but I think this going mainstream. Let's get it out there. Execution is a big part of this game. So ideas can be 10 a penny, but sometimes there's things in plain sight. I was listening to a podcast today, and he said sometimes things are so obvious that a lot of people think they're already being done, but they're not.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like if somebody has a heart attack on the floor and you're the only one there, then you go over to that person and you go and check them out because you want to make sure they're okay, call for help. If there's a whole crowd of people there, you assume that somebody else is looking after it, and then everybody assumes the same, and then
nobody does anything.
So that can happen on scale. Even as simple as, come on, Wi-Fi on a tube, James. How can there not be Wi-Fi on London tubes? There is on some lines really bad Wi-Fi, but that must be costing billions. Imagine people on their commute on the way home, the amount of money they would spend online or doing stuff with advertising. This is crippling the economy by not having it. The amount of hours people spend. It takes everywhere in London would take you an hour or so to get somewhere. And you're offline, which is why, James? Tell me why.
Well, I don't know. But it's strange. Get on to Transport for London.
Yeah.
See what they have to say.
Is this Matt? Met the main design engineer at the largest medical exhibition in Germany 2 years ago. Interesting.
Wow.
I would be. And what is the? Did you say this was Rob?
I think so.
Rob, what is?
So.
I'd be interested to see what it actually, the diagnostics thing is. Is it number twos? Is it wee? Is it dehydration, or is it something else? I guess there's a lot of different things you can have there. But diagnostic tools in general, James, is how you can probably how you can do something at mass to be $1 trillion idea.
Well, anything that's prevention rather than cure has got to be a good thing, isn't it? I think if you can head stuff off at the pass with something you would use every day, it's got to be easy to use.
In Japan, they put pulse monitors on handles. Interesting. I don't know what the pulse monitor would do on a handle. That would be just we.
Just we.
Yeah, it's that would be an interesting.
That would be an interesting one,
James.
So you want to know my? Let's go through. So I had a conversation actually interesting with somebody the other day. A chap who's in his 80s, and what he was talking about was like almost a personalized longevity concierge. And it would be AI powered, but it's an entity that would be able to coach you through your day. So getting up at a certain time, then what you have to eat or drink or any supplements that you would need to have first thing in the morning. So you'd input all of your criteria. These are the goals, these, all of your statistics, age, height, weight, current activity levels, and an idea of your routine currently, and then to put in what you're aiming to achieve. So I want to be more productive, for example. I want to get up in the morning. Maybe I want to journal. Maybe I want to do this. So you're going to put all in your parameters in there.
This is in America already, James. You've already copied it.
I know. But it would have all of your, genetics and your personalized data, and it's linked through to.
What is it? Because all that's coming to my mind here is robots for old people, which we know is going to come, isn't it? Probably every person is going to have it, but definitely every old person is going to have a robot like that, have a dog.
Potentially,
that's 100% coming.
And when you think about these pill boxes at the moment that have got all the days of the week, so that they know when to take and when they haven't taken those pills. So you'll have a robot there that's making sure. And I know for a fact that there is huge amounts of pharma that is basically getting wasted because people are forgetting to take that medication. So anything that would enable somebody to actually take the medication that they need would be a huge benefit. But this sort of concierge service, definitely AI, and you can do it with a ChatGPT type thing already. But I think the integration into something like that would have some form of agency to enable you to do those habits on a regular basis to then influence the outcome. So it's one thing to have it as a passive influence on you, but another thing to have it actively working to keep you moving in a particular direction, or to be consistent enough to
as a robot,
or whatever it looks like,
it's gonna be
actively remind you, get you to, it's something that wouldn't happen unless you'd actually done that activity, for example. So there have to be some form of intervention.
And it punishes you if you don't do it.
It might just abuse you, berate you until you actually
maybe electrocute you or something if you disobey it. But what came to mind just as you said that was robo pets for old people. But I think robo pets is going to be big. Let's get that domain. That domain's going to be already gone, isn't it? But this is going to be. We're going to. What's the word when you? It's not anthropomorphize, is it? Is that the word? What's the word?
Anthropomorphize.
Is that the word?
So you put a character or a human element onto something that's inanimate.
Yeah, because I think a human-looking robot, you know, you get the visions of this thing with a sort of kitchen knife when you wake up, don't you? Sort of. Yeah.
Well, you do.
I do.
That's
but with a little cute dog, you start to think, it's my pet dog, and this thing can flip. It's brilliant. You treat it like a dog. It lasts forever. It feels a little bit less.
You just want it to perform tricks, don't you? You want it to like be a performing monkey in robot form.
Yeah, but whether that then you speak to it and things like that. So I think it's what we're going to see is we're going to see robo pets. We're going to see robots, and it's going to be huge in we're going to be living longer. But it's any of the older generations, this loneliness epidemic. Spouses passing away, people on their own, doing things in the home. This is going to be, it's $1 trillion. It's huge. It's massive. Whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
Rob was saying about GLP-1s. Yeah, I think this is, I think this is on the rise now. I think the statistics were saying 50% of people are interested in it, 10% of people are already using it. So it was a diabetics thing, wasn't it, at the beginning? But
yeah,
James, this, I think, pill meal, should we call it pill meal? You just take a pill and it's a meal. So it could be a nutrient-dense pill, which is also an appetite suppressor. So you get your vitamins.
You think we're going into space age stuff where you just pull a lever and that thing pops out. Doesn't require any cooking, any preparation. There it is. But yeah, certainly as soon as GLP-1s become pill form, I think the regulation around it at the moment.
Do they?
Well, I mean, I think it sounds worse than it actually is. It's one of these kind of, you've got the little depressor on the top, but still you've got to inject it, and it can bruise and it can be uncomfortable. I think once it becomes pill form, that will just take it to another level. It's like a designer drug. It's like a designer drug that if somebody has an event coming up and they need to lose some weight, they'll take it for that. I don't know that it will be something that they would take every month, every week, whatever, however the frequency of taking it. I think it will become one of those things that you will take it as and when required. So it becomes very designery for a specific intervention.
Yeah.
But that's
Rob was saying end of the year pills are already in trials. So we can, I think that's the trajectory.
It's coming. It is coming. And it will be a game changer.
But again, it sounds a little bit medicinal, whereas I think to make it $1 trillion idea, we need to commercialize it. We need to make it into some type of vitamin thing instead of a thing which looks like you're on some type of medicine to suppress your appetite. We got to make it sound a little bit more sexy, haven't we? Sort of introduce it, but very quickly
it'll become normalized. That
people give it to their kids. Is it going to be for kids as well?
Well, for obese kids, I can see it happening. I can see it happening. Certainly parents that are worried about their children.
Yeah,
mate, I can see it, and the efficacy of it and the ethics around it. It's highly nuanced, isn't it?
Yeah, or maybe it's just going to be some type of powder or something that they just add it. Actually, it doesn't make sense. It contradicts the sort of capitalist nature of a lot of food, though, doesn't it? Because in food wise, you want people to consume more because you make more money. So it goes against them putting
counter.
Yeah, and it's like appetite suppressors. It's like the putting salted nuts at a bar in, isn't it? So you get really thirsty and then you're buying loads of drinks. So it's that type. It's the opposite to that, isn't it? It's like going to put Ozempic pills on the bar, so you just don't buy any food.
Well, alcohol, it suppresses alcohol desire as well. That seems to be another side effect.
Yeah. So the problem is, the root problem we got is overeating, malnutrition, overeating, and a lack of movement. But you probably hard to out exercise the nutrition problem. And for me myself, being in hospital in the last couple of days and just witnessing the average person's health, it's really bad. It's chronic bad.
But you imagine a situation where this is another thing that will be coming and is already here to an extent, is to literally take a pill and it will do an entire internal diagnostics. And it will say what your acidity levels are, any inflammation. In terms of arterial plaques, if there's any areas that it can detect, cancer, tumors, anything like that the body isn't working optimally, it will create a report. The data will all be there within maybe a 24, 48 hour cycle of it doing an entire, scan of your certainly digestive system. The brain is going to be something very different. You'll still need scans for that, but certainly it could pick up, like I said, acidity levels, whether you're more acidic, more alkaline, whatever, but a full diagnostic in that time frame would be revolutionary, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
because again, it's preventative rather than curative.
It's definitely coming. It's just like we've got to turn it into $1 trillion idea, James. It can't just be solving the problem. The cure for cancer could be a $1 trillion idea, couldn't it? So we know that's going to be whoever gets there first, whoever maybe monopolizes the market.
Yeah, I've had conversations with people that say they know somebody that has come up with a cure, and it's like one of those conversations.
It's always a Dave, isn't it? Dave next door.
Trev he's all over it.
Yeah, he's read on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's you no idea what's going on behind closed doors.
It's going to be there's exciting times ahead. But again, the simple one that's in front of us, James, that you might like: cure for hair loss. How have we not figured out hair loss? If we could send people to the moon and doing all of these crazy things with AI, and how can they not figure out hair loss? It seems like one of the most, whatever it is, DHT or something on a hormone level. I just can't. We need to get some scientists on here to figure this out. Wi-Fi on tubes and hair loss. It's got to be simple, isn't it?
That is a big market, for sure.
$1 trillion idea.
Not only for men, I mean, it's more associated with men, but certainly for women, hair loss. Hair loss around a certain age.
We got from Rob here, BIMIS, MFG are the toilet guys. So I'm going to check this.
I really like the toilet emoji that you've used there.
Yeah.
I think that's a great attention to detail.
Yeah. Something was also a thing about, some said high testosterone thing with the, I don't know if that's a myth. I think it's a myth. High testosterone.
It's something very proudly purported by bald men.
Yeah.
I've just got too much testosterone. I'm too virile. That's it's the problem.
Yeah.
I know. Look, I put my hands up. I'm just too virile.
Yeah, I think that's the case. But in terms of problems, the Turkish economy is going to go under, isn't it? If this happens, it's not going to be good for Turkey.
It's teeth. They're
But for
seemingly the
hair
world
loss,
leaders, aren't they, for teeth?
Turkey's going to be trying to block this all over the world. A hair loss cure, some sort of genetic modification where you just, maybe take one injection, like a COVID jab, and then it basically changes your DNA, and then your hair grows back.
I mean, interestingly, I keep getting these adverts that pop up. I don't know where it comes from, what the algorithm is, that I keep getting hair loss adverts popping up. And where the procedure used to be, they would make an incision at the back of your head where the hair grows still quite thickly, because obviously you get this kind of...
There's FUE and FUT. I think FUT is the strip.
Yeah. And they'd sort of inject saline in it to expand and stretch the skin.
Yeah.
Then they would take that sort of strip there, put it around the front of the head, so it's like a transplant. So they'd expand the skin, then they'd stitch you back up, and do that way. Whereas now I think it is just literally these tiny little plugs.
FUE, that is the tiny little plugs that they take out. It just depends. I think they call it donor area, don't they? The horseshoe.
Yeah.
So if you for some reason you don't lose hair on the horseshoe, do you? So
no.
It depends how. I think if they do that strip one, they can harvest more donor hair better. So next time, because otherwise if you do the FUE, you're dotting it all around everywhere if you want to come back again in the next 10 years, because you'll have loads of hair at the front and then you'll have no hair at the back. But still, you got to take tablets, James, for the rest of your life to keep the bloody hair in. It is a faff, isn't it?
Mate, it's nothing. It's something that I've maybe fleetingly toyed with, but I'm not that fussed.
Yeah.
I can honestly
say
say, I shave it off just so that I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even bother, to be honest. I think you just rock. If you've got like some type of passion and you're into something and you're an interesting person, for me, the last thing you should be thinking about is your hair. It seems a little bit, but I get it. It does really affect some people. Obviously, they go to massively real lengths to get it done. Even Elon Musk has got it done, hasn't he? So
yeah, I mean, huge impact on self-esteem. And
so, Rob, next $1 trillion market is going to be MoveQuest getting paid in crypto every day. Yeah, how would I relate that to health tech on the crypto side? Maybe we can. I think that is definitely going to be a thing, without a doubt. We're going to be a sort of cashless society we're moving towards, aren't we? And everything will be
smart contracts integrated into that.
Yeah, the NFTs were, a big hype, and then people were sort of riding that train. But I still think they are going to be important, like with what you said, contracts and concert tickets and access to things and membership groups. So these NFTs are probably going to come back, non-fungible tokens.
Well, on that sort of note, I think in terms of your health data being decentralized, so very much like cryptocurrency, that everybody has access to their own health records, that they can get all of their test results incredibly quickly. I know the NHS, you can go on the NHS and get that, but I think there's still an element of that being held back from the individual, that we should have full access to everything that's going on inside ourselves in terms of that personal agency over your own health and healthcare, and you then decide what to do with that. So that decentralization, I think, very much similar, like with the smart contracts, like cryptocurrency, is not being beholden to any one entity like the NHS, that you have complete control over your own health data.
Yep. No, I like that one. I don't know why that got me thinking about, Rob was saying your exercise is your power. Then I started to think about innovation in gyms, because at the moment, the gym market's big. I don't know if it's $1 trillion idea. I can't remember what the stats were, but I think it was like 11% of people using gym. So it wasn't as high as I thought. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, but it wasn't as high as I thought. Again, it seems to be a bit of a race to the bottom as well, doesn't it, in terms of pricing? So, £20 a month, and then you got 5,000 members. Then you need a hell of a lot of clubs, equipment. Man, it's not really, I don't know if that's $1 trillion idea, but to get people exercising, maybe you can integrate some type of gamification, or you get paid, or your specific gym that you join, you make money when you go to the gym, because they potentially, you
there has
sit
to
in
be
front
some
of
incentive. It has to be more than just your own health.
You're either making electricity through the equipment, or they're giving you adverts on the on the thing.
The interesting case studies
companies
around the class structure. So like spinning, for example, that you'll get a group of people that will show up.
Rob said this is on its way, James, already. What is it, Rob? Is it
40% in Dubai?
Is it the gyms linked up to some type of kinetic electric power, and then they're making money from the gym or something like that? I'd be interested to know. 100 million users across Europe by 2030. What's this for, Rob? I'd be interested to know. Go for it, James. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying that I can't remember what I was saying now. What was I saying?
Was you back to hair loss?
It was probably back to hair loss and aging.
And the gym.
Yeah.
But no, James,
there definitely has to be an incentive, doesn't it? I think it's not enough just for an individual to be told that it's going to be beneficial for them health-wise. I was saying about group
MoveQuest,
classes.
James. MoveQuest.com. So this must be some type of kinetic energy thing. But what came to mind maybe 5, 10, 15 years is that maybe you get genetically modified and you're just freaking ripped, like a gorilla ripped, and you don't even need the gym. If you didn't need to go, because you're going for an after effect, if you stop going to the gym within like a month, you're basically back to your default position, aren't you? Skinny fat, in my case. But if you was genetically modified, I'm going to be like a gorilla 24/7, 365. I don't even need the gym. So, but I like that whole
aesthetically.
This is getting paid to train. So I don't know, how are they doing that, Rob? Is it through advertising? I'd be interested to hear what from MoveQuest.
Check out MoveQuest.
We'll have to get MoveQuest on the live to see what they are actually doing. Is it $1 trillion idea, or is the genetic modification of being, gorilla?
It's
do you want to train all your life, James, in a gym, or do you just want to take the Hastings gorilla pills? You get an injection every 5 years. You are gorilla ready.
So aesthetically, if you look like a gorilla, aesthetically, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But the effort involved to get like that has downstream effects, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's what Rob's saying about the GLP-1s of decreasing muscle mass. So we need to balance that out. So we need another pill or injection or some type of
to then give you the downstream effects of doing exercise. So cardiovascular benefit for, you've got the hormone release. Obviously,
maybe we're thinking too small here, James. We just need to get them at childbirth. We need to genetically modify the humans.
What would be really interesting,
born, basically,
is if you get put into a simulation that you think you've done all the exercise, you then get the psychosomatic benefits of it without actually physically having done it. That would be an interesting experiment, to put you in some kind of simulation so that you think you've done a really hard workout. So cognitively, that's happened. And then what does that do downstream? Whereas you haven't physically done it. or you could have some machine that would stimulate the muscle without actually having
we're
done
thinking
it. If
too
only there was a
small.
machine
We're
like
thinking
that.
too small here, James. These
Watch
muscle
this space,
simulation.
everybody. Watch this space.
All of that, I think exercise, gym, I think we're thinking too small. We got to go straight to the easiest, most, do you know what I mean? I think it's got to be
frictionless.
It's got to be genetic engineering, isn't it? And that is going to be the thing. It's going to, I can't remember what film I watched, you know, where you can choose the eye color. You can say, you know, 7 foot tall, ripped, Einstein, whatever you want. Designer babies. Really. That is going to be more mainstream.
Is that only a luxury for the rich, certainly in the short term?
I think, yeah, everything is, isn't it? I think for the rich. Rob said that's done. Somebody's stealing our ideas here, Rob. This is annoying. But that twin thing,
I think he's just
James,
putting that. I think he's just trying to undermine this entire program, Rob.
This is
anybody. I can say it's been done.
It's not been executed. It's not mainstream. It's not $1 trillion idea.
Can't be that good if we haven't heard of it, right?
We need to make these things mainstream. They are, I guess, they are coming. But that twin thing you said, that was in my notes actually about a digital twin. So you test the medications on your digital twin. So the digital twin has got your whole, you know, biometrics and all your DNA already. So then you can test certain medications and certain protocols on your digital twin, and then fast forward it to see how you react before you actually test it on yourself.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so you was on the right lines there, James, and that was from ChatGPT came up with that one.
Was it?
So that was yeah.
Wow.
The muscle stimulant is all across Germany.
That'll be electrical muscle stimulation.
Is that the pads thing?
Yeah, that's the suit you wear.
It's too much of a faff. I'm just not seeing it as the future.
It's getting easier, dude. It has to be easy. It has to be easy. It's like putting on a shirt. It has to be like that.
Right. Give me 1,000 scientists and Hastings, you know, pharmaceuticals, and you stick with your suits, and I'll bet you my scientists are coming up trumps. We're going to be genetically engineering babies. We don't need any suits. We are gorilla made. Beast, Ritz, best everything, live forever. And you're putting people in suits. That's old school, James. It's old school.
But you've got a long old timeline on yours, haven't you?
No.
Mine is a little bit more immediate.
Exponential growth with the AI, James. It's going to be.
So you're going to live. Soon. You're going to have to live forever, then, mate, to see that come into.
Yeah, we'll see. Shall I give you some of the ideas from ChatGPT? So
why don't you give me some of the ideas from ChatGPT, and I'll give you some of mine.
Why not, James? So we've got the obvious ones: the longevity optimization for the masses. Longevity treatments are experimental, fragmented, and only accessible to the wealthy. Opportunity democratize, personalized anti-aging stacks using AI, epigenetic data, wearables, and at-home testing. They call it Tesla for biological age reversal. So I don't know. We had this conversation before, didn't we? They've got, you know, sometimes you think, do people want to live? You know, if your life's really good, you always hear a lot of like rich people saying they want to live forever. But, you know, your average Joe, they're sort of like, once your missus dies.
Depends where they are.
Yeah.
Depends where they are. I was having again, the conversations that I have with people are fascinating.
Some people just telling me about
a couple that they went out to dinner with, and the guy's there, and, you know, he gets up at sort of between 10 and 11 in the morning and then just sits and watches TV pretty much all day.
Yeah.
And then he goes to bed at about midnight, and then he's up the next day, and, you know, he doesn't do anything in his garden anymore. I mean, he's sort of in his 80s, And it's that sort of downward trend, isn't it? If the desire isn't there anymore, why the hell would you want to, even consider longevity? It's like, why would you want to create a situation where that is going on
you
for
prolong
longer?
pain?
It's entirely necessary.
I think it's a great point, James, that is not really being addressed. It's like we're assuming people want to live longer.
Exactly right. Why would you not want to live longer?
It's like, I know for my granddad, he was ready to go. Once my nan was gone, he's lost his soul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was just going to the betting shop, coming back. It's like he was pain. His pain was getting worse and stuff like that. He was ready to go. If I said to him, "Oh, look, you can take this tablet, you can last another 20 years," I don't think he would have taken it.
Mate.
To be honest. But you get a lot of people with money who's maybe living their best life and thinking, yeah,
all comes down to the individual.
I just don't want this to end. So, but on the flip side to that, we've got the Dignitas thing, haven't we? The euthanasia. Is that $1 trillion idea? I don't know how much that Dignitas makes.
I don't know how much it costs.
Yeah, which is an interesting one, wouldn't it? Imagine.
It's kind of the other end of the spectrum, isn't it? It's assisting people who really don't want to continue in a dignified way.
In a dignified way, yeah. Will that become a bigger thing?
Well, again, it's personal agency, isn't it? The fact that has so many different connotations to it. Legal ramifications in terms of assisted suicide.
It's hard, isn't it, that one? There's got to be a lot of criteria to that because you can't change your mind. You know what I mean?
It's got to be on an individual basis, a case-by-case basis.
You can't go on a temporary feeling, can you? And then that's a tricky area. Can I see that being $1 trillion idea? I'm not too sure about that, to be honest. I'm really
preservation
not sure
preservation after death.
There we go. That's how. Right there, that's what I was just thinking. Health tech ideas, $1 trillion ideas. I think
you could be put in stasis.
Yeah, dying is an untapped market, James. It's big. It's old school. You go to this. You go to the church or you go over. They have some sad songs, and they say a few words. I think there needs to be a lot more innovation in the whole funeral, death, celebrating life. I know there are companies that are doing it, but I don't think it's that mainstream. I'm not going to execute it, but I had this idea a few years ago, and the domain is available, called deadfunny.com. And it's about you hire like actors and you set this whole thing up before you die. So it's like a whole production thing.
Okay.
So I think this could be a great idea. See if it's still available, guys. Deadfunny.com. Happy for you to go and take it. It was available when I checked it last. And I just think, make it a celebration, make it funny. You can do the whole knocking on the box thing, pre-recorded stuff. You could have actors that turn up to the funeral. You could have all sorts of calamities going on, wind-ups, couldn't you? It could be really, really good. You could revolutionize that. I don't know if that's how we're sort of. Is it health tech?
It's a little bit of a tangent, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a slight tangent, that one.
We got Scott here. Hey, Scott, how are you, sir?
Hey, Scott.
I remember my grandmother was in her 90s and she said it's not fun to be old because everyone dies around you. So why would I want to be alive with no one around me? She had given us all she could and was great. So it makes sense. Yeah, I agree, Scott. This longevity thing it's an assumption. I think people are, you're knackered. Life can be quite challenging at
again,
times,
it needs integrating into that the mental health side of things. That if mentally you're cognizant and there's clarity of mind there, and again, the will is there to continue, then the possibility is there. So really, it's not saying, well, it's going to be imposed on everybody that you don't have a choice. You absolutely have a choice.
Yeah.
But, cognitively, if you're not compos mentis, then the body will follow.
No good. Yeah. Like Scott said, it's like there's a philosophy to it, isn't there? Do you ever accomplish anything if you have an endless time in life to do it in? You're right,
it's a scarcity
Scott.
thing, isn't it?
Imagine us having endless time, James. Jesus, we wouldn't get anything
for
done.
you and I.
We barely get anything done now.
It'd be a disaster. Wow.
We could just be relaxed for eternity. We'd just be floating around.
Yeah, manana.com.
But I guess after a while you'd be just, I've had enough of this. I don't know though, because I would want to come back in 1,000 years. Wouldn't it be so fascinating to see what life is like?
How long do you want to live? There's the question. So you're 42 now. How many?
If my loved ones were around, I don't know. If you had a choice now and someone says, right, guns ahead, you can live forever with your loved ones, or you're going to die. What are you going to choose? Quick.
If you can live with your loved ones forever.
Yeah,
do it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You're probably going to do it, aren't you? I would say.
But you're avoiding the question. How long would you want to live?
Forever.
If forever isn't on the table right now, but the way that the trajectory is going in terms of longevity, how long would you like to live? What age would you like to live till?
I think probably it just depends how good your body is, but maybe 130.
Okay.
Would that be if you can still like walk around?
Highly
and
likely.
You can do stuff. Yeah.
I'm shooting for 120.
Yeah, I think it was the French lady, wasn't she? 122, who'd like have a cigarette a day and stuff like that. And
yeah,
but they're missing out on the longevity thing. You know what could be big on the longevity thing, James, which no one really talks about. They talk about it in the blue zones, and it's all we talk about the medical side and the health, the exercise, but what we don't talk about is love and community
and connection.
So they reckon there'll be services, could be $1 trillion services, which is kind of sad because we're commercializing everything, but you're paying people to be your friend, or you're paying people to go for a walk, you're paying people for a hug. I don't know if this is still going to be.
That's already a thing. I can say that's already a thing that people do actually
that is
provide those services.
The hugging thing. But this is probably going to be short term. I think this is going to go up. I don't know if it's going to be $1 trillion idea, but I can imagine. You can just imagine as AI takes off and everything becomes virtual. I'm thinking that we're going to go back into the real world experiences, and we have a balancing out. So then, physical touch, smell, hugs, love. I don't know if you can recreate that, but yeah. Scott says, think about all the money you would need to live forever. Oh, Scott, I think money is on its way out. Could be controversial take, but if you think about money as access, and technology is driving us towards more and more access, once we get over some of the fundamental pillars of food, housing, energy, education is going to go, isn't it? It's going to be completely accessible. Then it's like the zero marginal cost. Everything's driven to the lowest possible cost till it's free. Once you get past the fundamentals and you've got access to everything, then the money seems to be a little bit useless. And as soon as we evolve to be sort of less egotistical and less status driven, you actually realize, I think the more mature you get, that you don't actually want anything. Like you can't be, do you want a £1 million watch? Do you want this thing? Do you want to have the Picasso painting that's the original just because it's the Picasso? Do you really want that? Or could you just get a replica and it's exactly the same. It's just a mind game, isn't it? So I think money is a very short-term concept.
Yeah.
It won't
I think, like
exist.
we're saying about decentralization, that if that comes into effect, then I think economies will look very different, won't they, as well?
Yeah, physical economies, 100%, James, because you got physical economy of actual tangible needs, you know, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But then what that economy all is going to do is just morph into the virtual world. So then you'll be buying digital real estate, and that's where the money's being Bitcoin. And you know, there's already people doing it, isn't it? There's somebody I saw bought a house next to Snoop Dogg, you know, online.
Yeah, virtually.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto type of thing. It's like, oh, I'm living next to Snoop Dogg. I just bought it for like a couple of $100,000 or a couple of hundred Bitcoin or whatever. It's just like you can see the money will transcend. If you want to live, which will probably, like Zuckerberg's trying to get us into this virtual world, then if you want access to that, then maybe that's going to be commercialized. Can you see that, James?
I mean, I guess if you can sort of digitize consciousness, then that's all immortality right there, isn't it? If you can create, as you were saying, if you can have a digital twin, who's to say that digital twin doesn't then continue once the physical body has died, that digital twin then continues. But the consciousness is transferred. You still remain conscious
in the virtual
but in
world.
another entity.
Yeah, just thinking about what that I just said about the commercialization, I just think even that will evolve out quickly, because you can just create your own virtual world, can't you? You could have your own version of Snoop Dogg in your own world that you live next to. You can own everything. It will be your world. I think that will be
celebrity cease to exist.
It doesn't really matter. Or they can exist, but there's like a million trillion versions of it. And you're living your own world. So I think short term we will have the world, which will be the virtual world, but longer term I think it will be everyone.
But that's again, and that feeds into the really interesting question around value, doesn't it? Yeah. Because if it's scarce, there's more value to it.
You want this one, James?
So check this out. This is crazy to me. Murder victim speaks from beyond the grave. AI brings slain man to courtroom in jaw-dropping legal first. TechTimes.com articles. Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, this is going to be big. Yeah, that was sort of had the other idea of before when I was working in estate planning of, you know, lasting legacies or actually having these pre-recorded, you know, like cloning people's voices. So, you know, you could always have your mum with, you know, you clone your mum's
like reanimation,
voice. Yeah. But even with the genealogy stuff, James, it would be so cool to have like your great grandparents, like to know them, speak to them, know about their whole life. Like, who knows their great granddad's name even, which is so strange, isn't it? When we think about legacy and we don't even know our great granddad's name. It just shows you how fickle and short life can be. But to have that is, for me anyway, some people are not interested in it, but I like sort of delving into the roots.
Yeah. And I think we were talking about it the other day, weren't we? That people have stopped talking like they did generations ago, that, you know, around the kitchen table or, you know, over dinner, whatever. And they would recount stories from their parents, from their grandparents, and you would have that continuity through that we just don't seem to do anymore. I don't have those same conversations with my kids, for example, not in the same way, but, you know, that again gets sort of lost generationally as we go from generation down to generation. It doesn't seem to be as normalized as it possibly used to be. So, yeah, I think there's something in that to get a sense, because that makes sense of who you are where you've come from, in terms of your origin story. I think that's fascinating.
It's connected to all of the AI stuff. You could just ask your great grandpa for advice, or they could send you birthday wishes, and but like you said, this is keeping people alive in the digital realm, isn't it? I guess this is a trillion to immortality type of thing, isn't it?
Well, it makes me think of Jurassic Park when they spliced together the DNA of a frog to the DNA that they found in that little bit of amber, and they filled in the gaps. So I guess it would be a similar kind of thing, won't it? That you're getting an overview of someone's story, whatever's been documented. You can go through transcripts and newspaper cuttings, whatever, and then it sort of fills in the gaps in its knowledge with an assumed identity that will then give you a full personality, or a person that you could then speak to based on the research that it's done. So it won't obviously be that person. It'll be, I don't know, a generated model of that. It's a best guess scenario, like
of what they would
Socrates.
say,
what they would say.
Exactly. They'd have to throw a lot of data in it. Scott says the person is not really speaking, someone is making the speak. But how crazy is it? They made the video and seemed like it was them, but it's not. Yeah, it's. Yeah. Yes, you're right, Scott. It is the potential out there is just, it's just crazy, isn't it? And what the repercussions would be. A couple more from ChatGPT on here. I'll quickly whiz through these, James. So mental health infrastructure for a post-work society. I think post-work's going to be, work potentially going to go out the window. I don't know how long that's going to be. I doubt it's going to be in the short term, but once the robots come, the AI kicks off, who knows, maybe the people are not going to be needed. So it says the gym for your soul for a post-capitalist world. Create a scalable platforms that combine group therapy, AI, psych support, psychedelic assisted coaching, and digital tribes. Psychedelics, I think, is going to be a big one. $1 trillion idea, but they're definitely using this type of stuff for depression psychedelics, aren't they? Whether it's LSD or mushrooms. I think this is something where the depression anxiety rates, are huge. I know it's, if we change the environment, then I guess we can bring this down. But as a symptom-based thing to help people, I think plant medicine and these things that you're into, James, ayahuasca type of stuff, I think that's going to get bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, some kind of wearable tech that you can put on when needed to take you to stimulate the brain. In that way, it's sort of transcranial
to do it.
Stimulation.
Yeah. We've got AI health co-pilot for every human. Yeah, we've got that. End metabolic disease forever. Peloton meets Ozempic meets Blue Zones. Healthcare that listens, ending female health neglect. Yeah, because there's a problem in the femtech space, isn't there? Because I think they were saying there's more money in male orientated diseases. So some of the women menstruation issues,
well,
and menopause
in a couple
issues.
of weeks' time, we've got a guest, Nav, that will be talking about exactly that. So really excited.
Yeah, which I didn't really know about, but I think because of the whole commercialization of the
and as stuff, middle-aged white men, it's astonishing. Like the conversation that I had with her is, it'll blow your mind.
No, that would be a good one. Next one was the digital twins one that we just talked about. So digital twin simulation. So simulating before you actually test it on yourself.
Yeah.
Could be a good one. AI first addiction recovery. 12 steps meets GPT meets hero's journey. So I guess these could be big, couldn't they? Some of these addiction ones, I think, is sort of like AI coaching. And
well, for the little that I know, it's you have a kind of a sponsor that has been in recovery themselves. So I'd be fascinated to see what the relationship with that, bearing in mind it's a digital platform, because I know that the sponsorship element of it is a huge part of the recovery, is you actually talking to somebody who's been through it as well. So you've got a real life representation of, and having that to connect to. So
yeah,
whether that can be achieved similarly in digital form is yet to be discovered.
I think it'll be big. We're pretty much. I think that's pretty much there. I would say overall, James. I think so, it's a bit of.
I think it's a toilet.
I think it is a toilet time. But in terms of $1 trillion ideas, even the concept, like we're saying with Scott, to talk about money, will money be the future? Access. I think that is a little bit of a red herring in terms of saying that, because a lot of $1 trillion ideas are normally making a lot of money from symptoms based. If you solve a problem, then realistically that industry could disappear. So the best thing we could potentially do for people's health is create more houses, create more community, change our environment. It could be the most simple and obvious things: have access to clean water, give people access to purposeful work. That type of stuff is going to be, all of this addiction stuff, obesity. These are the symptoms of our environment. So if we address the environment, then
I was about to say the environment we haven't talked about, and that's kind of be all in the end all, isn't it?
Yeah. So health tech in terms could be prefabbed housing, could be the biggest health tech innovation that's out there.
So air filtration systems.
You take that stress off of people, all of a sudden you can completely change their well-being. And like you said, the toxicity of certain things, environmental toxins, if we change those things,
heavy
then
metals.
The rest of them, like taking tablets, overeating, because once you're, we're overeating really, because everywhere you turn you're being bombarded with rubbish food, aren't you? Being sold to you constantly. The color of the packet is, you're being psychologically bombarded everywhere you go. So you can't, you're not going to be surprised when everyone's struggling to keep their weight, when it's all sugar, fat, addictive, numbers,
additives,
marketing, psychology. So if we sort that out, then really you don't really need the Ozempic stuff, do you? But we're talking, I don't know how long, we're talking about an evolution of consciousness, aren't we? Really, instead of $1 trillion ideas, which is a bit of a, we don't really want that either, because you're going to end up with monopolies and all sorts of problems, and money's old. I think money's going to be old hat. Solving problems will be the way forwards.
Yeah,
but we're not there yet. Scott says the person is that was pretty much it. James, have you got anything more to add there? Have you got any more massive ideas?
I don't think I have, mate. I mean, the gut health, that sort of gut brain axis thing was another one that ChatGPT spat out, that sort of gut brain revolution, to really nail that, because certainly recent research has shown how important that is to get that balance right, that it's the second brain. So anything that can manipulate the gut biome.
The irony in health tech, James, though, when you look at Blue Zones, the book of areas of the world where people live to 100 and beyond.
Damn Buettner.
So the irony is no one went to the gym. They're eating just less, more plant-based, occasional kind of protein diet. Sources, very high in community, love, and purpose.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff doesn't cost any money. They're not doing anything that's some big $1 trillion idea. They say the best things in life are free. Maybe more sex, more better.
And it's again abdicating responsibility, isn't it? If we're just reliant on tech, to provide us what we need.
Yeah, pill popping, freaking apps and all of that stuff.
It's predicated on people's reliance.
Symptoms based, aren't they? Symptoms based.
We can do this, everybody. We can be the change that we need.
I need first principles problem solving, James, because this stuff it is a bit boring. It's a little bit boring sometimes, isn't it? I know it's money and making money is great and stuff, but it blows my mind. I'm just like, sort of, it just doesn't.
Are we going to move so far away from nature that we cannot come back?
Yeah. We're like over engineering solutions when the solutions are just like staring
using a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
100%, James. That's where I feel right. So we're definitely, I think we've got to let's use tech to liberate us. And then a lot of the symptoms will then just fall away. You won't have people addicted to food. You won't need people to actually have to create a sugar chocolate company to sell to kids to make money, because they'll have access to what they need. So they won't need to create that business. It just won't be necessary. They won't need to have multiple houses, because there will be these, hotel style high tech living globally with some, transport infrastructure that's incredible. So you don't need to buy the car. You don't need to buy a house. You don't even need to own it. So once you don't need that stuff, you don't need to get into business to really make the money. But I just don't know how long before that evolves. It might not be in our lifetime.
I think commerce is here to stay, mate, for quite a while.
I think in this trend, this is the start of change. But let's see how fast it will.
Maybe we were born too late. We'll see.
We're at the right time. The transition's the hardest, isn't it? The change.
It is.
So.
It is. Yeah. All right. I think we'll wrap it there, mate.
Cheers, James. Thank you to Scott. Thank you to Rob. Thank you to the other listeners. And if you've got other ideas, just drop them below. And I'm sure loads more will pop into my mind. But I like these creative ones, James. Could be Creative Friday. One of them must stick. But execution is important, isn't it? You need those people who can just get stuff done.
Doers.
You really do. Okay, guys, take care. Have a good weekend. Bye, James.
Bye, John. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.